Alright, check this out. So yesterday we got the hoop positioned and kind of figured out about that it would fit, and it was looking good. Today we got it tacked in there. So we just took our two floor plates, we tack welded the plates, and then we threw the tube in position. We marked it. You can kind of see some Sharpie marks, so we kind of knew where to put it. And then we got one of these little angle finder. It'll tell us angles. So our goal was to get this basically as close to vertical as we could. There we go, 89.94, so it's real close. Same thing over there, it's within about 1/10 of a degree of vertical. So we were real happy with that, and she's all tacked in. So I believe that's the final resting place of our hoop. One thing we did do, so this hoop, when I manufactured it, I had to go back and rebend a couple bends. Basically the feet were a little wider than they were supposed to be. So I took a strap and just very lightly pulled it a tiny bit because I needed a little bit more room right here. So luckily it didn't take much to do that, and then now we're good. As you can see, there's like about a finger's width between here, and that should be enough to reach around with the TIG and weld that. So our plan is going to be that when it's time to weld this out, we're actually going to cut the tack welds from the plate to the chassis, lift the roll hoop with those plates, weld out the roll hoop to the plate, lower that assembly back into the car, and then the last thing we'll do is MIG weld or TIG weld the plates to the chassis. Because if we don't do that, getting a camera, even getting a camera back here, you can kind of see that, but welding that, and you're not going to be able to see, and it's going to be difficult. But if you take it out of the car, that'll be easier. So that's going to be the plan. We had to figure out some of that. We knew we had to figure it out, but a little bit of on our feet work to make sure that was going to work out. But it looks good now. So the hoop fits. You've got a little bit of clearance. You can see there's a little bit there. It's hard to tell, but there actually is a gap up there. It's just the camera makes it hard to see, but it's actually not touching there. I haven't looked at the other side, but in theory it's the same. So yep, got our gap right there. And oh, we definitely got a gap over here. Let's see if I can get the camera up there. Oh yeah, plenty. So looking nice. So the next thing is our forward tubes. I have not even thought about those yet. So we're about to get started, seeing what we're in for. Hoping for a 2D bend. Don't know if that's even possible yet. And the other thing we gotta do is get these latches out of here. And some of the screws are really stuck. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do about that, but those latches have gotta go because they're gonna be in the way. So anyway, we'll get back to it. But so far so good. Getting this hoop, hopefully that was the hardest part, and we just got that, that fits. So I'll bring you guys back when we make a little more progress. Alright, so we have been trying to figure out our seat position for probably the last hour or so. And man, we're looking at the rule book for the cage, what we got to do to do that, and we are just low on space. But what you see now is about as good as I can get it. So the seat, you can see basically the headrest is kind of pretty much lines up with the top right there. The bolstering is poking out. We'll have to climb out of that. I guess we could modify the seat maybe, but there's going to be a bar going probably from here down, so it's not the end of the world. There's some, we probably are going to raise the seat a little higher. You can see we're not quite, we've still got some room up here, so we may raise that a touch, but not too much, because we still need the hoop to be above our head. Luckily when I sit in here, my head is probably somewhere in this region. So, got that going. The width is kind of a problem. I did the best I could centering it. You can see there's not much room here. Like, I can get my hand in here, but just barely. You know, there's not a lot of space. And it's the same thing over here. Very little space, and we widened this tunnel. And there still ain't much room. But that's what we got. So, what we did was we played with the angle. So you can see the seat back looks like it's almost straight up and down. Well, it is. It's pretty close. We actually bought a seat with a 15-degree lean back, but we're not even lean back maybe, I didn't actually measure it, but it's damn near nothing. This part here might be 10 degrees, maybe. So, not much lean back, but the reason we stood it up straight was so we could slide it back. So I'll try to get this on camera. I don't know if this is going to show up. Let's see. See that circle? Sorry, it's terrible focus, but my hardtop's dirty. I'm trying to film through glass. But basically, there it is. That circle is a tube. A tube has to go there. So, I'll show you real quick. It's these tubes. These go down to the floor. So this one and this one, that's the main hoop, but then there's a diagonal that comes down here. That circle is roughly where that's going to go. And we've got that tube pushed as far back as we can. It's going to be really hard to weld just the way I drew it. But I just can't get the camera in there really well. Let me try this. You can kind of see that. Basically, yeah, I'm moving the seat. But I've got to get that tube. It's going to be going right back. It's going to be damn near touching. And it's going to angle, and it's going to come up to probably roughly here. I don't really know where. I'm not sure where my shoulders sit. It's got to be like at your shoulders or below, within 4 inches. I guess I need to mark where my shoulders are so I know where that is. But we can't move the seat back anymore, or we run into that tube. In fact, right now it's basically touching, so can't move the seat back anymore. But I needed it to go back as far as possible to get my feet comfortable. And this position, I just tested it. I had to get some shims and stuff to kind of hold the seat because it's not bolted to the floor yet. But I just tested it. This kind of works. It's not too bad. It's not as comfortable as a Mercedes, but it's not bad. I can live with this. And like I said, having the seat as far back as possible is definitely going to help with egress. Keeping the seat low, I think, is also going to help. The one concern, it's a little cloudy. On some cages, they run a tube from here. It's called a rocker bar, and it goes forward and ties into that. I don't know if we need that. I don't think I do. I wouldn't mind putting it in anyway, but there's just no room. It's going to be so difficult. I'd have to put that tube, would have to basically go here. And it seems like you'd want it down lower. I mean, I guess you could do that, but that's about as close as you could ever do it. But it's going to be complicated. You're going to have to come off of here with like a bend that's damn near hitting the, I mean, I can't bend a radius that tight, so I can't really do that. And I'd have to move the seat forward to make room for that bar, and I can't do that because then I don't fit in the car. So, I don't know. Technically, it's according to the rules, I don't think I have to have that bar. So we're probably just leaving that bar out on both sides. I could actually do it over there, but that's probably not a good idea because then they'll be like, well, why didn't you put it over here? But, yeah, I don't know. I guess if I did a custom seat, maybe, but I don't know. This seat's already, may not look like a small seat, but the way the bolsters come up, like a lot of stock seats, the bolsters go like this and like this. These are like straight damn bolsters. So that kind of sucks. Not a lot of room. But anyway, yeah, this little rocker bar, I think we're going to have to skip that and probably just cross our fingers that we don't get kicked off the track for that. If we do, I mean, you'll just have to figure it out. So I guess if they really legitimately kicked me off the track for not having that stupid bar, putting it in over there would probably be a piece of cake. There's nothing over there, so that's easy. Over here, we'd have to basically have to lose some weight, buy a different seat, and then we would have room to put that tube. So that's not really excellent. Or maybe you could just like somehow figure that out and get a tube in there, but the only way I can see is you'd have to literally run it like up here, like as high as my hand is, basically here. This you could probably do, but that seems, you know, all the ones I've seen are down at the floor. So I guess, okay, I guess I could do that. If they kicked me off the track, I could literally just go in here and weld a damn bar where it fits, try again, see if they kick me off the track, and yeah, I don't know, maybe we'll do, anyway. That's it. So other than that, this is kind of where the seat goes, and we thought that the next move was going to be to put our forward bars, but that's not true. Actually, we need to get the seat where it goes, because the forward bars have to hit this cage, and I got to make sure that I don't put those bars in and then find out my seat don't fit. So the seat takes priority. So next move is get the seat bolted where it goes, then we'll probably do our forward bars, and then probably those diagonals that go that way, the ones that go in the back to these little posts back there, that'll probably be the very last ones that go in. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Okay, check this out. We're working on our mock-up, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So there we go, tying into the hoop. So I'm going to bring you just below here where you can see what that looks like. Yeah. So we get it kind of bump up around where the helmet would be, you know, for that height. Then it angles. Then it angles again, follows the A-pillar pretty beautifully. And it turns, hits the floor. I'll show you that since I have access to the windshield. There's our right in the center where it goes. So, not bad. Here's the problem if we do this. Look how far away it actually is from the pillar in this plane. So, the good news is this is a two-dimensional part, what you're looking at. It's on a 2D plane, so that makes manufacturing significantly easier because it's flat. It's on a plane, which is nice, but the downside is it doesn't follow that pillar. And then the real downside, let's see, I haven't actually measured it. So I've got this adjustment about as tight as it can be and realistic. So, oh, let me grab, there we go, ruler. So, here we go. Roughly 4 inches, it's a little less. But with the tube's gonna poke out too, so it's probably 4.5 inches right here. And then it's going to extend maybe to this mark, 3 inches or a little inside. So the problem with this is the rules say the cage has to be around the driver. So basically the driver can't be, you know, my legs can't be hanging out of the cage, my head can't be hanging out, my arms can't be hanging out. And that's a problem is my feet. Yeah, technically the pedals are there. So, you know, maybe you're okay. But you're kind of playing with fire. I don't know. That would probably pass. Maybe it would pass. I don't know. I'm gonna think about it. We're about to knock off for the night, so I'm probably gonna think about this, come back tomorrow and make a decision. But what would be nice is to have it follow the pillar, but it's gonna have to come inboard. You can tell this is several inches where it would have to swing this way, and then as it's coming down, it would have to swing back to come here. So we got to think about that. It's not that I don't want to do it, it's just the manufacturing of it. So this particular bend, basically right after this bend, I need to turn and go this way, but I can't just immediately grab that bend and do it. My bender's just not going to do that. I'm like 95% sure that I could not, yeah, there's just no way it'll do that. So that means this would have to be like a compound bend where it makes that turn and this turn all in the same bend. That could be done. It's just more difficult to figure this out and deal with the rotations and stuff. I've been trying to figure it out and it's kind of hard. Maybe I'm just inexperienced or I don't have the right tools, but it's a bit of a struggle. Although I like how this looks. This is not too far off. So anyway, kind of how we're going with that. We're going to probably knock off for the night, and then I guess tomorrow we're going to try to figure out how to turn this into a 3D part. I'll probably document the bends where these are now. Maybe I could engineer that in software to where I don't have to actually build it. Maybe I could just use this. I'm just thinking of this now, but perhaps if I took some measurements and said, hey, you know, like, see this little mark? Like, take a measurement. I don't know what this is. Actually, I do know what that is. See that line there? That corresponds with this mark. I don't know what the number is off the top of my head, but that is a number. So maybe I could take a measurement and say, okay, I need the center of this tube to be right here, and, you know, try to figure out what that bend would have to be, like what the rotation would have to be to fix that. Maybe I could figure that out and not actually build it in copper. Just do the math and then build it in the bender. Maybe. I don't know. I'd rather bend it in copper, if I'm being honest. I like the visual of actually seeing that it's going to work. So, anyway, kind of what we're up against, getting the details of this figured out. The other thing, don't remember if I mentioned it, but this seat, I got it jammed up kind of close to the tunnel. Trying to open up some space over here, which there ain't a lot, but we're going to try to, we may end up pushing that seat all the way until it hits the tunnel. May even take a hammer to the tunnel and try to buy a little more space, but I do think we're going to have to do that sill bar over here, and that means it's going to be difficult. Let's just say that. There ain't a lot of room, and we got to get seat brackets over here and harnesses. But we'll figure it out. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at on this. Hopefully hopefully I can figure out this 3D stuff, but kind of cool seeing a little visual with the copper. Seemed like a good idea. Anyway, till next time, y'all take it easy. Alright, so we are doing this again. We did all this work once, and we realized something seemed suspicious. We checked our measurements. Sure enough, we had accidentally bent this piece. Somehow, just taking it out of the car and bringing it over here. So let's hope that doesn't happen again. But we refit it. This fitment's probably a little better than last time. And then we had to put new paper down, so you can still kind of see the old lines ghosting through. But we put new paper down, got it laid out again, and we're gonna do all this again. So basically we'll just kind of like, you know, vertically draw like a straight line here, straight line there, let them intersect, pick up measurements, measure whatever this height is, and then go to CAD and try to model this and get a result. So here we go. Hopefully get it right this time. Okay, so we did actually have a couple of mistakes on here. I guess I don't know what I did, but I had some of these numbers wrong, so we fixed that. I think I got it right now. So we're laying this out, or we just did. So here's our tube we're gonna run. You can see we just did a black line for the clamp marks, and then we marked the green areas are where the bends are. So like when you clamp here, you'll put a bend here. That's our first one, the 10.3 degrees. Then you see there's a clamp right next to it, and we go 15 degrees. So that's the clamp next to it, 15, and so forth. It just runs down. There's the bend, and we get to our last one. That's a pretty big one. And then this just goes to the end. We'll cut it off here, and that's just the scrap. So that'll be we got it all laid out. We're about to give this a shot. This will be our test number 1.